right? And people used to think that humans could not run a race in under, we'll say, 4 minutes. And up until the point where the first guy did, I think his name was Roger Bannister, everyone was like at 4 minutes and 59 seconds or 5 minutes and 3 seconds. When he was able to cross that barrier, like I think it was like 3 minutes and 97 seconds or whatever, 3 minutes and 57 seconds, excuse me, then everyone else started doing it. Even high schoolers today can now break that 4 minute mile. So it's the same thing with this business. Like when the mentorship students, like as soon as I see like some of our mentorship students were like able to do this, it's like everyone else kind of is like, okay, I can do it too. If he can do it, then and if she can do it, and if Bryce can do it, and these people can do it, then it all works. So there's three main things that you have to focus on in order to start getting clients like this. Number one, you have to understand who do you get along with. So what I mean by that is a lot of people try and like pick their like marketing niche kind of based on who they think they're going to get the most money from. And that in a lot of cases is actually not the best way to do it. So a case in point, a lot of people like 2 years ago were like going after the cannabis space. It's like, oh, cannabis. If I go after cannabis, I'll make a lot of money. There's a lot of people that try and go after cannabis and make $0. Versus some people are like, I would never go after nonprofits because nonprofits don't have any budget. I have a couple students that are making 30 to 40 grand a month just working with nonprofits. Even to go take it to even extreme, churches. If you know anything about churches, churches can be extremely cheap. Hey, on my Facebook side, I see Brandy is watching. I see Mike Barr is watching. Shirley's watching. Helen's watching. Good to see you. I'm really grateful for you guys giving me some time today on this because I really want to make sure you guys can go and like grow your business as quickly as possible. Now, also, anytime if you want some help growing your business, like maybe even thinking about growing it, but just not quite going the way that you wanted, the way you hoped, and you know that if you felt that if you had someone that can pull you along the way and guide you step by step, it would give you some value and be able to actually help you go reach your goals. Go ahead and click the link inside the description above or below the video to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program. So number one, you have to understand who do you actually get along with. So this is the most important thing. In this particular case, this student was actually a real estate investor. So he had done like some fix and flips. He had done a couple like buy and holds, and he really understood the game of real estate. So these two clients happen to be in the real estate niche. Now, the number one reason why is because he could speak the language. They actually wanted to talk to him outside of just accounting and bookkeeping. If the only reason someone talks to you is because you offer a service to them, as soon as they feel they no longer need the service, or as soon as they feel like someone else who can either talk about the service is better or cheaper or faster, you're going to be out of a client. So the more places they actually like you, the more kind of anchors and hooks you have that's going to keep them working with you for longer, and it's going to cause them to want to pay you a higher amount of money because they like you, right? That's a really big secret in the game of marketing and sales. If someone likes you and they trust you and they know you, they're going to pay you more money than if you're just a random stranger to them, okay? So let's say, I'll give you an example. If you are an Army veteran, okay, maybe try and like going after different Army veterans and seeing if they want to give you some work. Now, that's not really a niche, that's a personality, and that's like a life demographic, right? That's one thing I really like doing. I like doing demographics. I know if there's a certain kind of person or certain job title or certain profession that really likes me, for example, for me, therapists are generally really good for me. Therapists are good. I do well with nonprofits. I do well with construction. I do well with e-commerce. I do well with coaches. Consultants, another one, but it's just because I understand the language patterns. I understand what they're going through. I understand like the pains, the problems, the concerns. They actually want to work with me. Same thing. Let's say that you like tech, like you just know everything about software. Okay, maybe you go and work with software companies. Maybe you know every single thing about like video games or something. Maybe there's video game companies that you can work with. There's just wherever you think that you can speak the language and that people actually want to talk to you and you actually enjoy talking to people, that's who I would really recommend you trying to go after and like really go in and get like some business from. Now, within that, you want to make sure that you're not going after the independent contractors of the industry. What do I mean by that? So let's say that you get along well with salon people, like hairstylists. I don't want to go after the individual hairstylists, right, who are only making like, we'll say 70, 80, 100, 120 a year. I want to go after the overall salon shop owner, right, that has a business, an independent contractor underneath it, right, because those are the ones that can pay you the most amount of money. once you have the overall shop owner, you're doing the books for the shop, the people underneath are naturally going to want to work with you. And that lets you increase how much money you're making from the top and from the shop in total, right? So you always go for the head, and then the tail will kind of follow. Now, the second thing that you need to know is number 2, find where are they hanging out, okay? So this is really important because not every single profession is going to use social media the exact same way. So case in point, if you try and let's say you found a doctor. If you message the doctor on LinkedIn, they probably will not respond to you. If you message them on Facebook, they probably will, because a lot of times doctors are going to use Facebook and they're like more active on Facebook than on LinkedIn. Right? So you need to know like where are they. In this particular case, this student actually used Facebook groups. Now, sometimes you guys are going to hear me in different videos talking about like LinkedIn, Facebook, partnerships. Doesn't really matter. It's more like where is your niche going to be actually spending their time. Now, the problem with Facebook groups is that most people are thinking of Facebook groups as like these places where you post some content, but that's hard to do because a lot of these groups are saying like no solicitation, right? So if you like make a post and like you try and help people out, like they're not going to be really receptive to that. You might get kicked out. Hey, Dano, I see Dano's watching live. Good to see you. And it's just like you're gonna get kicked out of there. So instead, what you need to do is like find a place where your targets are like hiding and where they're spending their time, and then utilize the members list to make a lead list. All social media marketing is you have a hypothesis of who's going to work with you, you make a lead list, and then you spend your time connecting and building relationships with those different people, right? And if you can really develop and it's basically developing an eye for who has the highest propensity to actually want to work with you at your higher price point, then you're going to be able to just snipe people out. So I'm always looking for revenue. I'm looking for what types of questions are they asking out on the profile, in their content, or if they actually post inside the group. I'm also going to be looking at their company page to see if they actually have someone in-house that's doing accounting or bookkeeping. Okay, if not, then there's a couple different criteria and factors we look at, especially when you're on like LinkedIn or Facebook. And when you're in the program, I'll tell you those different things because it's very customized to the industry. But there's a lot of different like micro indicators you can use to determine how likely someone is to want to work with you. Now, in this particular case, this student was using the Facebook group, right? So he basically found some people that were looking like they were interested in accounting services, reached out to them using Facebook Messenger. If you don't know what to say, we give you a messenger script inside of our program. I'm going to break down like the messenger script actually in step 3 of this video. So bear with me for a couple minutes. I'm just going to kind of go through like where are they. So some other examples are like you could go look at LinkedIn, right? That's going to show you where some of your targets are. You can also go through partners. So I like partners because it makes it very easy for you to go and get in front of the right people because they might have spent their entire life, their career, their business, whatever, to go and build relationships with the right people. If you remember earlier, what were we trying to do? We were trying to get know, like, and trust factor, right? But if someone already has that with your ideal clients, if they tell that person to go to you, you're going to naturally inherit that know, like, and trust factor this person might have spent years building with the lead they just sent you. So it's a very simple shortcut. Now, if you want to know more about like how to do this, how to build this process, I actually wrote a book on this called 6-Figure Partnerships. Now, if you want for me to send you a copy of the book, go ahead and type inside the comments like 6FP book, and I will actually drop a link to that. I could drop one inside the comments as well. It's actually my website. If you go and check out the book like within like the next probably like the next week or so, it might still be up on the website because we were trying to raise the price because we're gonna be like posting it on like Amazon. And, like Amazon has like a certain like minimum price you have to have, so I didn't want like a huge discrepancy. But for at least for right now, if you go on the website, I'm gonna keep the price at $4.95. If you want to get that book as a way of saying thank you so much for being a part of our audience and being part of like our network. It's really, really great that grateful that you're here. If you don't see the link, like maybe if you're like, I'm doing one on my phone, one on my computer, right? The computer's going to like YouTube and like Facebook profile. The phone is going to the group. If you're in the group, type in 6FP book, and I'll be able to send it to you afterwards. But just really understand like where should you go, because if you spend your time in the wrong places, you're not going to get any results, and you're just going to be spinning your wheels. It's like very, very, very frustrating. Whereas if you know exactly where to go and who to go and like what is the path to go through, that's when things become a lot simpler and a lot easier for you to go and reach your goals. Now, step number 3, let's say that you finally have found where the person is. So whether that's a Facebook group, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, or a budding social media platform like school, like a new platform, right? Messenger is generally an easy, simple way to grow your business. Now, I am not necessarily saying that you want to just like spam a million people, send them a friend request and go, do you want my services? I'm not saying that, okay? There's actually 4 main steps you have to take in order for a person to feel comfortable wanting to work with. There's 4 steps and there's 2 bridge steps, okay? So technically it's 6 steps total. One thing I like remembering is 42, right? Number of freedom. I believe that was Jackie Robinson's number, right? Freedom, whatever. So number 1, connect, okay? So this is very simple. If you're on Facebook, there's generally not a connection message. Just send them the friend request. They either accept or they don't. On a platform like LinkedIn, you need to have a good connection message. Now, this connection message should be as friendly as possible, showing that you've taken a little bit of time to research the company in order to get them to want to accept it, okay? I don't want to pitch too early, because on this, what you're looking for is the most people possible within your ideal range to accept your connection request. Because number 1, you're going to be able to, if you get one person to accept your connection request, you have access to all their friends. So now your network has gotten expanded and like even larger. Number 2, if someone is not ready to buy today because they just don't trust you, if they are friends with you or connected to you on LinkedIn or wherever, you can go back to them repeatedly over time as they kind of change their life and as their business kind of grows. But if they don't accept it, then you can't do that. So you actually lose opportunities if you don't do this first step correctly. Okay, now let's assume that you've done this step correctly. The next step is going to be reply. Okay, so we have to get them to reply. Again, do not just initially pitch your service. And it's not that pitching your service is wrong. It's just you're not going to get the highest percentage of people to actually want to work with you. In a lot of cases, there are certain people where if you pitch them too much, they feel it's spammy, and the only reason you follow them was just to get them to buy. Okay, and that might be the only reason why you did follow them. I'm not saying that's a wrong thing, but you don't want people to feel like you only care about them as a dollar sign. You want them to feel like you care about them as a person. Okay, that's a very, very, very important thing and a very important kind of lesson to know. Right, so like I once had a marketing coach that I paid a lot of money to, and he said the moment that a lead feels like they're a lead to you, you've lost them forever. So treat them like a person. It's okay not to like go directly for the sale. You don't have to be that linear, right? You can build a friendship with someone. Even if they don't pay you money, that's still okay. It's not that big of a deal. It can be a little annoying if you need the money, but there's going to come a time to where you don't need the money, and you're going to be grateful that you would have had these people who could refer friends to you that would eventually sign up with 6 months, a year from now. So just do the best you can with that. Now, I call this step reply because if they reply, they will buy. The most challenging aspect of social media is that most people do not check social media the same way they would check like a text message, right? So you might send someone a message, they might not see it for like 6 months to like a year in a lot of cases. So you have to have a wide enough volume to where it's not that big of a deal. But as soon as they do start replying, it's very important for you to take advantage of that. Now, inside the reply section, I'm just looking for an aspect of their profile that I liked. I'm looking at a post that they might have made. I'm looking at a common group we might have. I'm looking at interests we might be able to do, which is, again, why we talked about it's really important to have common interests with these individuals, because then you guys can talk shop. So if you're talking about real estate, you can ask them questions about real estate, and they're actually going to be like, okay, yeah, they like this topic, and they can talk forever and ever and ever and ever. And now you have a good back and forth. So now they like you enough to keep telling you, okay? The next thing is you have to start, we call this the bridge step 1, okay? That's called transition. Now, one thing that's challenging is that if you ask them something that's really personal or whatever, and they start going off the rails, just telling you a million things that you can't leverage towards a business conversation, you have to transition back to business and back to like potentially like them growing their business or them actually like working with you. Said preach. I'm trying. I got to speak fast because like this video, I think we can only put the video for like 20 minutes on these live videos, or else platforms don't show it to quite as many people. But you got to transition it towards business, okay? Now, the next step after you transition to back is the problem, okay? I need them to tell me they have a problem. Now, this is very important. You do not want a problem that is around making money. If a company is struggling to make money, they're generally not going to be able to pay you a high ticket monthly price. Now, that's different than having a cash flow problem. If they have high sales, but they don't really have high profit margins, that's something that you can help with. But if they don't have very great sales, unless you're helping them with like marketing campaigns or sales campaigns, it doesn't make sense for you to make that the problem that you want them to go. I need them to do something like they're unorganized, they are growing too fast, their cash flow is messed up, they don't know how to order inventory, they are maybe their doctor's office and like the medical billing, they just don't know what they're actually receiving versus what's still outstanding. Anything that has to do with money is coming in, but I cannot control the business, I cannot control what I'm doing, that is the thing I am looking for every single time. Now, once we have the problem, I want this, the secondary bridge step is B or C, brag or cry. I want them to brag about how well they're doing, because then I can go like, okay, so are you unorganized? Or I want them to cry about how they keep messing up their inventory or messing up something. Again, that's not related to marketing. When I have that, that is a leverage point where now that they have told me this about the business, they trust me enough with their problems that now they are ready to potentially work with me. As soon as they start telling you about their problems, they trust you enough, because think about it. Someone's making multiple millions and millions of dollars. They don't tell people how much money they're making. They don't tell people that there's stuff that's good and there's stuff that's bad, right? So if you do get someone to tell you that, that means they like, they trust, and they're ready to go with you. From there, now we invite them to a call. Okay. Now, another reason why it's important is because I'm using the leverage of the pain and the problem they told me to make a very relevant call to action or invitation to the call. If I just say, hey, do you want to work with an accountant or bookkeeper, and I don't have any context, it feels like spam. Versus if they just told me that they're struggling with inventory, hey, would you like to set aside some time later this week to see if I can help you with your accounting or bookkeeping, specifically like really kind of looking at what's causing your inventory to always run out before you've hit your sales deadline or whatever. They'd be like, yeah, that's so helpful. And they actually want to be on the call. So not only will you book the call, they like you, they're going to feel that you're valuable because you're actually going to help them with the problem that they need solving. And number three, they feel like you listen and you fully understand their problem, because now they feel you understand their problem. They actually respect you, and now they're going to work with you. Okay, very simple. And if you do that enough times, now I'm going to assume that you don't have great sales skills. So the worse your sales skills, the more of these calls you have to do. The better your sales skills, the less calls you do. So in this particular case, this student got 2 out of 5 calls to close. So the first call to close was $8,000 cleanup. Second one to close is $2,000 a month. Okay, so it didn't take him that much opportunity. It wasn't like the phone was ringing off the hook and he had 50,000 people he had to speak to on consultation calls. It's more like the people who he spoke to, since they actually liked him, they wanted to move forward, right? And that's about 40% close rate within 30 days. If you can like send a message to someone within 30 days, 40% of people will sign up with you. That's a very high close rate, because inevitably out of we'll say 5, those 3 that didn't close, one of them is going to probably come back within like 3 to 6 months. It's just how like the statistics generally play out when it comes to this. So like you should be closing around 40 to about 50% if you're decent at sales. Okay, you'll start closing like 60-70% when you start improving your sales skills, and over time. Like time is going to cause people to come back to you who previously said no, if you do the end of your sales call correctly and you kind of leave the door open for them. Okay, so those are 3 steps that it basically took for this guy to go and get those 2 clients. He used Facebook groups. He had a really, really strong messenger skill set. He's good at sales because we give you guys scripts inside the program, and he knew exactly who he was talking to because he was actually part of that niche before. So if you want help implementing into the stuff we talked about today, like maybe you know this is the right thing to do, you just don't really know how to do what we're talking about, that's normal. Like if you haven't been trained on how to do sales and marketing, it would be kind of wrong for you to expect that you'd be a master at it, right? These are skills that take either a lot of time or a lot of money to develop, a lot of money in courses, mistakes, errors, ads to learn this stuff. So, I mean, if you want to skip that, if you want to skip all the trial and error that it took for myself and a lot of people to do to get this, go ahead and join our mentorship program. So it's just like we teach you the stuff, we hold you by the hand, we walk you along where you need to go to make sure that you actually can have the best chance to reach your goals in a short period of time. So if you want to learn more about that, if you want to see this can be a good fit to help you, go ahead and click the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program. Okay?